Did Zack Snyder just change the face of filmmaking with his Justice League Snyder Cut, which just recently released? And can that same train of thought, that way of redoing something or remaking something, be applied to the sequel trilogy of Star Wars? So, in other words, should we be getting a Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau cut of the new trilogy or a complete redo? We're going to talk about that in this video right now. So first of all, let's go back to Zack Snyder's Justice League. So if you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch this. It's 4 hours long. It's on HBO Max. It's basically a complete overhaul of the original Justice League, which look like this, by the way. So as you can tell, there's a really good reason why Zack Snyder wanted to redo what was done, and in my opinion, he has done an amazing job. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed Justice League Zack Snyder Cut. And I think it's a real testament to, a studio looking at something and recognizing that, hey, maybe we should take a step back and actually do a brand new version of it and redo it, and to me, it's paid off big time because people are already wanting a Justice League sequel, including myself. Now, this is not the first time this has been done before. If we take a look at poor little Sonic here on the left, he looked really weird. And then all of the Sonic fans, gathered and, voiced their opinions, and miraculously, the director and the studio listened and completely redid Sonic, delaying the film. And it was worth it because we're getting a Sonic sequel. And the first Sonic was so good. I really loved the first Sonic film. And if we take a look at Star Wars, this trilogy, again, it's very controversial. Some people love it. Some people hate it. But I think, a lot of people really don't feel that this sequel lived up to what it should have been. Because if you take a look at this sequel, as a whole, and if you watch it as a whole, it does not jive very well. Each film feels like it's competing with, one another, and they're not jiving well. We know from the backstory that J.J. Abrams started the vision with The Force Awakens, and then Rian Johnson came in there and changed the whole thing. And then, J.J. Abrams came back with The Rise of Skywalker to kind of redo what Rian Johnson did, and it resulted in a mess, in my opinion. And, if you've watched my previous reviews on The Rise of Skywalker and stuff, you know that I liked it at first with my initial reviews, but honestly, I've matured with my viewing on this stuff, and I feel like my viewpoint has changed on these films for sure. Because again, you got to look at these trilogies as a whole. It just doesn't work very well. Number one, the characters aren't really respected by the story. If you look at Finn, his story is just completely obliterated by the time we get to The Rise of Skywalker. What happened with his whole Force sense thing that happened in The Force Awakens, where his fellow stormtrooper had the bloody hand and marked his helmet, and he had that kind of Force sense. That was just left on the cutting board for the rest of the trilogy. Nothing was really done. So that's just one example of the many problems with the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. And again, it goes back to the main point of this video. Should we be getting down the road a brand new cut of these films, like a Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni or George Lucas cut? Or should we be getting a completely brand new remake of the trilogy? Now, I know that that's a huge ask, and I don't know if Disney would ever consider that. But if you look at The Mandalorian, Luke was introduced again at the very end of The Mandalorian season 3, which was an incredible moment for Star Wars fans to see Luke in such a shining light. And he was powerful, and it was amazing seeing him again. And personally, I think that's a great starting point for a new trilogy. And in my opinion, I wouldn't pass up on that opportunity. I would get someone like Sebastian Stan in there to play Luke Skywalker. And honestly, I would think about changing the story up for a new sequel trilogy. Now, that's just my opinion. Again, it's definitely a huge ask, but it's definitely an interesting thing to consider for sure. So leave your comment. What do you think about this? Do you think I'm absolutely nuts to even request such a big thing from these films? Because, it would be a huge undertaking to either do a massive new cut of these films or a complete remaster or redo of these films. So, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm really curious to hear what you all have to say about this. And, as I'm looking at the trailer on The Last Jedi, there's just a lot of issues with this film in particular that I absolutely cannot stand. Luke throwing away the lightsaber. To me, it was long and drawn out and boring, the scenes on Act 2. But there are other things I do love about the film. There's some amazing, sequences in there. There's some cool little plot elements between Rey and Kylo Ren where they're kind of, their minds are combined by the Force, or they can sense each other. I thought that was pretty cool in that film. But again, we're taking a look at it as a whole. From episode 7 to 8 to 9, it just does not flow very well. And again, we know why. Because there was not one visionary behind it. It needs one visionary, just like The Mandalorian now has with Jon Favreau as the main visionary behind the story. So let me know what you think. Do you think this new trilogy, or sequel trilogy, I should say, needs a redo like Zack Snyder did with the Justice League? Because, that was a huge undertaking. And of course, there's some risk with that involved as well, going through the process of redoing a story that some people may have liked. But I think walking away from it, the majority of people love Zack Snyder's Justice League more than what they got with the previous one right here. So lots of improvements for Justice League. Could we get the same thing with the sequel trilogy, either with a new cut or a completely redone sequel trilogy from the ground up? Let me know what you think. I'm really curious once again. But that's going to do it for the video. I could dive into a lot more details, but I wanted to get that out and talk about it and really read your comments on it too, and really get in on the discussion on this one, because I know it's been brought up before, but now that Zack Snyder has done his Justice League, I'm sure many Star Wars fans are talking about this as well. So without further ado, I will see you all later. Take it easy. Have a good rest of your day. Stay safe, everyone, and may the Force be with you always.